A good idea, though? We're asking Congressman Dan Burton of Indiana and Bill Pascrell of New Jersey. Gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to us. You know, at this point, Congressman Burton, let me ask you, the Troubled Asset Relief Program, or TARP as it's called, is tossing around $700 billion of our hard-earned tax dollars, but a lot of that money isn't going to where it was originally intended to, like it was supposed to absorb distressed mortgages. I'm not sure we're seeing that at this point. So then my question to you is, would a CARSAR make any difference?
Well, if the government does bail out or loan money to the car industry, there certainly should be oversight by the Congress. Now, I'm not in favor of that. I think there's a number of things issues that need to be dealt with before we even talk about that, like Senator Coker of Tennessee talked about the other day in the Senate. But I think if the government gets involved, we certainly should have oversight. All
right. Bill, what do you think?
I think a board would be much better. I think we can make it a strong board, bipartisan board that oversees how the dollars are going to be spent, particularly if the dollars are coming out of a program which you've already voted upon, which was going to get the car industry back and going again on moving to cars that are not going to be based on use of fossil fuel. I think that this is not a good move to take the dollars out of it, but this is a compromise, and this is not a time for ideologue stuff. And I think Dan would agree with me. You got some problems there in the manufacturing business of cars in your own area, Dan.
Right.
And I think we need some relief, and I think we should pull together and come up with a solution and a compromise. Americans want that. They don't want us to be fighting each other at this point.
Congressman Burton, you say we need way more oversight, period. I mean, is there anything that can be done to get better control over the TARP money that's already been allocated, reallocated?
Well, first of all, Fed Chairman Bernanke and Secretary Paulson should never have been given $700 billion carte blanche like they were. Just throwing that money at two people who really don't have who are not answerable to the people of this country was a big mistake, and they have not done a very good job with it. But when you talk about bailing out the car industry, there's certain things that have to be done before we even talk about that. And I'm not for the bailout, but if we're going to do that, there's certain things that have to be done before we even approach that subject.
You've talked to, I guess, talks that you've had with GM plant managers in your district. I mean, what are they saying to you?
Well, they want to see something done because they don't want to see a lot of people out of work. Many of the elected officials in my district, like some of the mayors, Mayor Siebold came to see me as well. They're concerned about the tax money that will be lost if these plants close down. I think in Marion, Indiana, in my district alone, they would lose about $5 million a year in taxes, which means they'd have to lay off firemen and policemen and other things. So I think we ought to be doing something to solve the problem. But first we need to make sure it's going to work, and they're not going to be back a year from now or 2 years from now asking for more money.
Bill, okay, fine. So then Congressman Burton says that this was way too much money to give to two gentlemen who have not actually allocated the money the way that it should have been. So then at this point, the money's already been given. I mean, the money is being handed out as we speak. So then what do you do in order to make sure it goes to the right places?
There's no question that if we look at this as a stimulus, a part of stimulating the economy, it's a good idea. There's no traffic in the dealerships throughout the United States. We have to generate this. I would like to see more of a guarantee that there is going to be an effect on the dealerships so that the folks on Main Street and the side streets are going to see the benefit of this $14 million or $25 billion, whatever they're talking about here. I'm going to make sure, however, in the reading of this legislation, that it does what it's supposed to do, that there is oversight, that there is regulation, and that we stop depending upon trickle-down economics. It hasn't worked for 8 years. It's not going to work now. But we have to come together with a package that's going to help not only the auto workers, but the industry in and of itself. We've done a terrible job in losing so many manufacturing jobs, good-paying jobs in this country. We need someone to oversight. I mean, this administration put in a manufacturing czar in 2004. God knows what the heck he did. Maybe Dan will tell you what he did. I don't know what he did.
All right, I'm going to give you the final word because I'm going to let you answer for yourself.
Well, let me just say that the automobile industry and the labor unions are responsible in very large part for the problem they're in right now. They need to change the way they've been doing business. The unions need to give more. The executives need to give more. And if they start doing that and come up with some reasonable approaches to solving the problem, we'll work our way out of it.
Dan, the unions have done that. The unions have done that.
Congressman Dan Burton and Bill Pascrell, thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie.
That's going to do it for us.
You're going to be back at 7 o'clock with the Fox Report. Journal editorial report is next.
See you later.
Somewhat reluctant to try lower sodium soup? Try Campbell's Healthy Request soups. All